So I think I've finally done it. Making an advanced build has been incredibly difficult, but I finally figured out the weapon combinations and the weapons that I wanted to use for this build, and it is so much fun. Not only is it powerful, but it provides you a very fast way to play the game, as well as using fire and acid within Lies of P to make sure that your enemies melt incredibly quick. This particular advanced build can be built in the very first playthrough, but I am on New Game Plus 1, so some of these stats may appear different than you get in regular game. I'm going to show you how to get every single thing in this build so you can make this for yourself, so let's go ahead and jump into the weapons. We are going to be using the Acidic Crystal Spear Blade and the Acidic Crystal Spear Handle as our first weapon, because this is one of the best advanced weapons in the entire game, and because we want to have acid built up with this build, it makes sense that we are going to use this weapon. It has Radiate and Single Stab when it comes to its Fable Arts. Radiate is going to provide you extra acid damage on the weapon, and Single Stab is going to be a charged thrust that can pierce through multiple enemies, both having fantastic uses in the game, and Single Stab providing an absolutely wonderful damage output when you hit enemies with it. This is a lot of fun to use. It has a motivity scaling of D, a technique scaling of D, and an advanced scaling of A. You can use, I believe, a total of 3 different advanced cranks to get this all the way up to advanced scaling in S, which I highly recommend you do, but I have not done that yet. This weapon is going to allow for a flurry of very quick attacks, and the most fun way to play with this weapon is to hit a few times and then dodge to the right or left, hitting immediately right after that in order for you to dodge and attack almost at the exact same time. The Acidic Crystal Spear Blade and Handle are going to be found very early in the game when it comes down to it, and you're going to be able to locate it if you start at the Stargazer at the Path of the Pilgrim, and I'm going to have an actual YouTube short linked in the description below if you need to go find this weapon for yourself. Now, the second weapon we're going to be using is a combination of 2 weapons that I wasn't sure I was going to like, but I really like the moveset and the damage output of this weapon. We're going to be using the Salamander Dagger Blade, as we want to add fire damage to this advanced build as well, and we are also going to be using the Acidic Great Curved Sword Handle. This has a really fun moveset, very wide swipes, and adding the dagger to it is going to make it swing incredibly fast, and its Fable Arts Ignite and Absolute Defense are incredible. Absolute Defense is going to allow you to take 1 hit without taking any damage, and Ignite is going to allow you to build up extra fire damage on the enemy because it's going to surround the blade in fire. It's going to have a motivity scaling of D, a technique scaling of C, and an advanced scaling of B, and once again, you can use more advanced cranks on this weapon to make that go even higher. Much like the Acidic Crystal Spear that we are using, this weapon is incredibly fast when it comes to its attacks, and the entire point of this build is to attack quickly, dodge, and get your attacks off once again before your enemy knows what's happening. It's incredibly fun to build up fire and then also go right into acid back to back, because this allows you to build up multiple status effects on the enemy, doing a lot of damage over time. Because you're going to need 2 separate parts from 2 separate weapons, I'm going to show you exactly where to get them. The Salamander Dagger Blade is going to be located incredibly early in the game by the Workshop Union entrance area next to the Stargazer, and the Acidic Great Curved Sword is going to be found very late game in the Arch Abbey outer wall area within a chest sitting on a ledge. And that leads us into our Legion Arm. Our Legion Arm we're using is the Pandemonium. You can use the Flamberge if you want to, but I really enjoy the acid buildup from this Legion Arm. It also scales with Advance at an advanced scaling of A. It's going to have a C in Technique and a D in Motivity. This arm can be a little bit difficult to use because you have to charge it up and then throw your acid down on the ground, but if you catch your enemies in it and then it explodes, they are going to take a lot of damage, and they are also going to get an acid buildup debuff on them, allowing you to do damage while you're not hitting them, and then also building up your fire damage with the Salamander Dagger at the same time. And guys, real quick, if you're finding value in this content, I invite you to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you guys know when I'm making more content. I absolutely love making videos for you guys, and I do everything from Lords of the Fallen all the way to Elden Ring and Lies of P. So if you're interested in that, I'd love to see you around the comments and in the channel more. So with that being said, let's get right into the amulets. So for our 4 amulets that we're using, I feel like they synergize pretty well, and it makes the build a lot of fun. So without further ado, the first amulet we're going to be using is the Arm of God amulet. This can be attained from giving the Reborn Champion's Ergo to Alidoro, and this is going to temporarily increase physical damage upon a successful attack. So because we are attacking so frequently with both of these weapons, we are constantly going to get damage boosts from our attacks, allowing us to just up our damage overall, and more damage output is exactly what you're going to want in an advanced build, because the majority of your damage, in my opinion, is going to come from damage over time, but if you can get a little bit more damage off with your melee attacks, this is going to benefit you greatly. The next amulet we're using is the Carrier's Amulet. This is going to increase your weight limit, and any time that I have had 2 weapons equipped, my weight limit has always struggled a little bit, and when we go over the stats at the very end, you'll see that I don't have a ton of capacity, so this Carrier's Amulet is going to go great for me. If you have a lot of capacity and want to switch this out with something else, you are more than welcome to do so, but for my playstyle and how I have played this game, the increased weight limit is good for me. If you want to snag the Carrier's Amulet, it is going to be in Vanini Works control room right as you enter the Moonlight Town. Next, we have the Blue Guardianship Amulet. I think this is my absolute all-time favorite amulet. You probably have seen it in a few of my builds so far, but this is going to increase our max amount of HP, stamina, and legion, amazing quality of life talisman for Lies of P, and it's going to give us an overarching great stat boost to the majority of our stats in the game, allowing us to live longer, use our Legion arm more, and dodge and attack as fast as possible with that extra stamina. The Blue Guardianship Amulet is actually incredibly easy to obtain. It's an amulet that can be purchased from this guy right here in Hotel Krat if you give Vanini 2 of the upgrade boxes. I can't pronounce this guy's name to save my life, but this picture shows exactly who he is. And in our 4th and final slot, we have the Transformation Amulet +1. This is going to give us +6 advance, and advance is what all of our weapons and abilities scale with, allowing us to get more damage. So the more advance you have, the more damage you're going to be doing. And this amulet in New Game +1 is going to be found if you start from the Moonlight Town Stargazer and run along the path until you head into a shack, and it's going to be in a small chest within that shack. Now for the defense parts, everything is situational. I've said this in past videos, but the defense parts are based on whatever encounter you are about to go in. Typically, your frame is going to be the most beefy one because it's going to give you the most physical damage reduction rate, so whichever one gives you the most of that, you need to have that equipped. The converter is the same thing, but with all different kinds of resistances, so if you have a boss that you're facing that has more shock, you need to have shock resistance. Go ahead and equip whichever one is situational for that particular fight. Your cartridge is going to give you a little bit of physical damage reduction rate, but some specialty resistances as well. Mine gives me break, shock, and disruption resistance because I was just in the Opera House. And finally, your liner is going to give you different types of weapon damage reduction rate. So mine has slash, strike, and pierce damage. Once again, these are all situational and should be used based on whichever encounter you're about to go into. Now, getting into the P organ, all of this eventually you are going to have leveled up if you play this game long enough and if you go into New Game +1, but I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly what I'm working with just for a little bit so you can see how I've leveled through this game and how I've gotten these different things unlocked. So obviously everything here is quality of life. It makes the game better and it also allows you to play the game a little bit how you would like to play it. So I have added Fable slots for more Fable attacks. I also have Link Dodge. I have the increased pulse cells, all that in Phase 1. Phase 2, I have everything unlocked. Rising Dodge, which is coming to the game as something that is already there, rather than something you have to spend P organ quartz on. We also have the Retain Guard Regain. We then have the Amulet slot +1. Obviously, having more amulets is definitely what you need. I also have increased pulse cells +2 for more healing. Moving into Phase 3, we have the enhanced pulse cell recovery, so I get more healing from my pulse cells. I also have the shortened fruit bearing time. Because I like to use specters in fights, I can constantly have those cubes lined up. In Phase 4, we are going to be working with the added amulet slots. Having 4 amulets is definitely what you need in this game. We're also going to be using added Fable slots +2. More Fable slots equals more Fable attacks, which equals more damage in this game. And right now in Phase 5, I am currently working on increased cube uses, so I can use different cubes for multiple things in boss fights, which I like doing. And the very last thing I'm going to show you, because this video is already long enough, are my stats. So as I said before, this is an advanced build. I'm currently level 113 in New Game +1. My vitality is 37 to give me a decent amount of health. Vigor is 25. Capacity is at 27. You can have more of that if you don't want to be slightly heavy, but that's just what I'm working with right now. Motivity and technique have not been touched. And advance is all the way up at 51 because the more advance you have, the more damage you are going to do. The harder your throwables and your damage over time effects are going to hit your enemy. And guys, that is going to be it for this particular advanced build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments things that you would change, things that you liked, things that you didn't like. I'd love to talk to you guys more about it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, feel free to hit the sub button and the bell notification on your way out. I would appreciate it a ton. I think we're going to reach 20,000 subscribers here in this year, which is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys so much. And until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.